So here's the basic problem. According to naturalistic evolution, which again, we're Mr. Scientist, we have to accept this. It's the only answer out there. It's the science. So according to naturalistic evolution, all the science, all of the organism's parts, including its sensory and cognitive faculties, if they have such, are what they are because of one thing. They aided in feeding, reproducing, fighting, and fleeing. Again, we have these senses to aid us in survival. That's the purposes for our truth understanding. It's those things can be trusted because we've survived. And so therefore, if we're here, then all our ancestors have then held to these survival characteristics that we want to call science and truth. Our faculties on this account were selected for these survival enhancing functions. And the problem with this, however, is that an organism does not need accurate perceptions of true beliefs in order to survive. Again, the rustling in the bush, is it a ghost or a snake? You go to ghost movies because it could have been a snake. And so your truth faculties doesn't care one way or the other of what's in there, but you heard a rustling and you ran while the other person didn't. That person did not survive because it was a snake, and you are in a long line that have developed this survival technique, and you praise your ancestors by then going to scary movies and hearkening back to that gene that's in you that likes to be, that doesn't even like to be scared, that gives you survivability for being scared.
In other words, let's assume that you think, oh, it's a ghost and I should run, or it's a snake and I should run. But in this case, we'll assume it's a ghost and you take off running. Notice, it's not a ghost, it's a snake, okay, or something else even. But the fact that you took off running would make you survive, even though you had a false belief. Your false belief you acted upon and you survived. So the question is, do we need true beliefs? And that's the point he's getting at here. Right. There's no need for a true belief. In fact, we can't, he calls it evolutionary naturalism, doesn't even allow us to suggest that we need true beliefs. All it's looking at is survival. And thus he says there is in principle no evolutionary naturalistic explanation for this particular issue. And so if we are limited to evolutionary naturalism, as advocates of scientism say we must be, then we have strong grounds for distrusting the employment of our reason in scientific practice. Of this, he tells us, it would seem puts the advocate of scientism in quite a pickle. Again, he says, while I agree with these arguments against scientism and evolutionary naturalism, that is not his present point. The issue again, that these are all philosophical claims, and the arguments for and against them are philosophical and not scientific. It does, once again, he tells us, we see that science cannot justify its own assumptions, and weak and strong scientism are accordingly false. Right? So there it is. So the issue here is our sensory and cognitive faculties. Are they reliable? Well, according to the position of evolutionary naturalism, we don't know. We can't know. And so there, or perhaps maybe they may not even be. But again, this is something that needs to be argued for or argued against, and that takes philosophy and not science.
So even knowing that evolution only picked us for survivability traits is itself an unknowable truth in and of itself. And we're falling down the rabbit hole. And again, people in the comment section are going to want to argue all these points. And all he's saying is you cannot argue from this from a solely scientific point of view. You have to move from the realm of science, and therefore scientism is out, into philosophy.